Good afternoon, distinguished guests, members of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, dear LSG members, friends from the media, our valued sponsors, and all our esteemed guests. It is my privilege as President of Ladies Study Group to welcome you all to another special event in our Diamond Jubilee year. As we celebrate 60 years of the Ladies Study Group, our endeavor has been to bring before you individuals who have shaped the way India thinks, feels, and evolves. Today we celebrate the world of cinema because stories have the power to inspire, transform, and connect us. There are filmmakers who entertain us, there are filmmakers who impress us, and then there are those whose stories stay with us as long after the credits rolls. Imtiaz Ali belongs to that rare league. Whether it is Jab We Met, Love Aajkal, Rockstar, Highway, Tamasha, Amar Singh Chamkila, or most recently, Main Wapas Aunga, his films explore identity, love, freedom, and self-discovery. His characters are beautifully imperfect, deeply human, and profoundly relatable. And that is what storytelling is so timeless. Today's session, Behind the Lens, Beyond the Screen, it is more than a conversation about films. It is an opportunity to understand the creative mind behind some of India's cinema's most memorable stories. As the Ladies Study Group, we believe leadership extends beyond politics and business. Artists and filmmakers shape the way society thinks, feels, and dreams. And Imtiaz Ali has done precisely that. On behalf of every member of the Ladies Study Group, it is my absolute honor to welcome one of India's finest storytellers. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Mr. Imtiaz Ali. May I please request Mr. Imtiaz Ali to come on stage. It is now my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the evening, Ms. Rita Bari Chakravarti, an accomplished actor, producer, writer, and philanthropist. Rita Bari is also the founder of NGO SCUT, dedicated to empowering underprivileged women and children. From acclaimed performances in Brahma Janan, Gopur Komati, Fatafati, Bahurrupi, and Pari, to her inspiring advocacy for women empowerment and body positivity, she has earned admiration both on and off screen. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Rita Bari Chakravarti, who will be in conversation with visionary filmmaker Mr. Imtiaz
Ali. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a rainy afternoon, but I can see the love that is poured in this room for the master storyteller Imtiaz Ali. And I'm not surprised. I'm sure, like me, many here grew up with his films. The intention is not to make you feel old, by the way. We assume you started very early, like when you were 12. But we grew up with his films, and I think a lot of our hearts, whether it has been broken or healed, has been through his films and his songs. But sir, this conversation is going to be more like how we Bengalis do over Darjeeling tea and jhalmuri. Where's the tea and where's the jhalmuri? It's all in my script and it's not here. It should totally be here. I mean, I heard First Flush at least 4 times from him. Where is the Darjeeling tea for sir? No, it should seriously be here. I mean, it would really help the conversation. But this is an intimate conversation with the master, and I am going to try to Let him have some space where he can share his heart and his heart for filmmaking with all of you here. So this goes beyond views, validation, whatnot we otherwise record anything for. I'll start with Kolkata. Kolkata has a special place in your heart. I've seen that in your films and you have mentioned several times. So, how did that happen?
Let me start by wishing everyone over here a very good evening. And I must say that we are very privileged to be in this room. I think there are 5 of us men. Can all the men raise their hands, please? Isn't this a better world? Very, very happy. And I will always remember, I don't know whether I've been in a room with so many women. I've always dreamed of this. And this moment tells me more than any other moment that dreams do come true. Thank you for giving me a reason to be here among yourselves, the ladies study group. Very happy to be here. Thank you, Ms. Enu Bala, for creating this opportunity for me to be here, at least, and especially at this point of time when the movie is still in the theaters, when there's so much to talk about. And now coming to your question, Kolkata, when did it start? I'm sure it started much before your conception.
When do you think that was? I feel slightly insulted and also like appreciated at the same time.
Because when I was, Calcutta is the first city of my life. It is my favorite city and will always remain. It is also the city with the best food in the world. And that's why it will always occupy the highest place. And I have gotten into physical fights about which biryani is better, Aminia or Arsalan.
It's Aminia, right?
Yes, it is Aminia. But recently I've been a bit disappointed with Aminia. I don't know if the family is here, they'll beat me to death.
I'll convey it to them.
No, I know the families. Anyway, so Calcutta is the most glamorous, the most metropolitan city I feel in India. And I am from Jamshedpur, born and brought up. And therefore, Calcutta was the first city that I saw. The fascination that I had for the Grand Hotel, for Trinkas, for Flurry's Bakery, all of this is a part of my early childhood, and therefore I retain it even now. And if you've seen my film, I think I will retain it when I'm 95 years old as well. So this, the charm, the beauty, the fascination that I have for Calcutta is going to be with me forever. And I always feel that it's a special occasion when I'm in Calcutta.
We are so lucky to have you here. As you mentioned, Jamshedpur, where you grew up, and that bond is very special, I'm sure. And we'd be very enlightened if you give us a little insight on the young Imtiaz Ali in Jamshedpur.
Well, I think the best thing for me to say today, and this is why I am also doubly thankful to the ladies study group, is the fact that Mr. Borun Roy is with us here in this room right now. When I was a young student in Jamshedpur in DBMS English School, I had done a school play. I had acted in a play. And there I had met the first director in my life, the first person who was a director, and that is Mr. Borun Roy. I think it's a befitting occasion for me to say in his presence that I think in all my life, in all my work as a director, I've always tried to emulate him, be like him, have the control, have the precision, have the openness that he had as a director. So, sir, now you know it's not a secret that you've made a big impression on me as you did on all of the actors of all the plays that you've ever directed. Congratulations for that. Please, can we have a round of applause for Mr. Borun Roy? So, with incidents and experiences like acting in an inspector calls that was directed by him, I gradually moved more and more towards theater, towards performance, writing, arts. And finally, I went to Delhi, where from English, which was the main language for theater somehow in Jamshedpur, it became Hindi. And that theater was much more accessible. And theater just kept changing form in my life. And I tried to do as much of it as possible. And I found people in the journey who were so irresponsible to their profession that it actually served as a great thing for me. For instance, I must mention this gentleman called Mr. P.C. Verma, who was the principal of Hindu College. I went to college in Delhi. It was a college called Hindu College. And he saw that I am taking a lot of interest in theater, and he saw some play of mine in theater. And I was having attendance problems in the first half of the first year.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. Why? Sorry, I'm interrupting, but why? The attendance problem.
Why? Because I didn't attend class.
And what did you do? That's my question. That's what I'm more interested in.
Well, I did a lot of things, but I also did theater. So when I was taken to the principal's office, the principal, Mr. P.C. Verma, said, and these are the words, "Don't waste your time attending class, son. I will give you the attendance. What you have to do is you have to make 2 theater productions for Hindu College every year." I was already involved in a few theater productions outside Hindu College and some in Hindu College, but then that opened the floodgates. And thanks to Mr. P.C. Verma, I did not waste a single moment of my college life. And not only did not waste, I used all the time that I had and did as much theater as I could. Incidents and accidents like that kept happening. But back in the day, like in my earliest recollection, Jamshedpur, the home that I had in Flower Mill Road, and the neem tree and the grass beneath, and me alone wearing white kurta pajama, trying to look for that little seed, that sweet seed of neem that falls on the grass. That's my earliest recollection ever since I can remember. And although I have lived in many cities, but I still feel that Jamshedpur is my home.
How beautiful is that? Well, I'm very disappointed you were not romancing outside when you were bunking classes and you were doing theater, because from your films, we are always obsessed that you had the most inspiring, most memorable love stories. Anyway, I'm not going to delve into that and make all these...
I did not, I was saving myself only for cinema. I thought all the romance I do in my life must be strictly in cinema.
Yeah, but cinema is ma. It's not cine wife or cine bivi. It's cinema. It's your mother.
But वो तो सीन पर डिपेंड करता है ना कि माँ कौन सी है. देखिए, आपने देखा होगा बरसात की एक रात, उसमें राखी was the heroine. फिर और भी फिल्म देखा होगा जिसमें राखी was the माँ, शक्ति देखा होगा जिसमें राखी was the माँ, right? So सीन पर डिपेंड करता है ना कि सिनेमा क्या है.
Ji, your parents has always been very supportive of whatever you have wanted in life. Unlike people watch Rockstar and think this is not something I was assuming about him. I'm not psychic. I literally watched an interview of his and where he mentioned that how his parents have always been, his father has been so supportive of what he has wanted. At a time, I know this better than anyone, when he scored well in all subjects and he could have easily chosen engineering like everyone else around, he wanted to study English literature, and Am I correct? And your father totally supported that decision. And back then, this was a big one. Neither my mother, my aunt, none of them, nor me, we could not make this choice for ourselves. My grandfather would always be like, study science now, we'll figure out later if you want to go do something creative. Because we don't really go to creative schools here, at least back then, like acting school or school for direction. But you made this journey on your own. You didn't even know yourself you're going to be a filmmaker, but that's what you became. So the films you made, the fact that you became a renowned filmmaker, were your parents proud? Did they like your films?
I think my parents are very critical about my films. And when my father saw the rough cut of Main Vapas Aunga, I was very eager to know what he thought. And he was only thinking about all of the things that might go wrong in this film. But today I spoke to him and he's obviously very, very happy. I don't think a person can feel as happy about their own achievements as his elders can. Parents, and I could see how Mr. Borun Roy is so happy that I'm being given all this izzat over here. And yeah, so I feel that my parents also feel very happy. You know, when they see, like my mother, when she goes to a restaurant, she doesn't look at me. She looks at how many people are looking at me. And my dad also feels very happy when, you know, I receive anything. About this film particularly, because they know that I was very involved with this film.
Since you said they are very critical about your films, was there any film of yours which they did not like or did not get?
You see, they are very encouraging. So they won't say, ye film bura hai. But they will say, this could be better, that could be better. My dad always says that, I think this film will be remembered for the longer time. This film will be, you know, I think for him to be remembered for a long time, for a film to be remembered for a long time is an important thing. They do give a lot of critical analysis. They have many points, but they say it at a time when I can receive them well. My parents have been very, very kind to me.
Your mom has a favorite film of yours?
My mom has I'm sure that she does, but she hasn't told me which one it is.
Okay, so that's for the next interview. Please make a note. Coming to Main Vapas Aunga. You can make everyone cry. Everyone is talking about that. But I want to say this because I cannot say this to him directly. I'm going to give that credit, shared credit to Naseeruddin Shah and A.R. Rahman for making us cry. I think you all made us cry, okay? It wasn't just you. Bengal has been partitioned twice. So हमारे ना DNA में ही हम वो लेके कैरी करते हैं, हम पैदा ही ट्रॉमा लेके होते हैं, like ancestral trauma, I think बंगालियों जैसे जैसे होता है, वो किसी के पास नहीं होता.
आप लोग ट्रॉमा देते भी बहुत अच्छा हो. आपने बहुत लोगों को ट्रॉमा दिया भी है बंगालियों ने. But carry on, sorry.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that because, you know. तो मुझे एक कहानी याद है, मेरी मम्मी ने कहा था, like उनके मम्मी के फूफा जी, I don't know what that, I'm very bad with relationship lines and so on. So जब they were coming from the house, like they had to leave and they were in that sort of a rush, which I could only imagine happened while I was watching your movie. 10, 12 of them, the entire family with their bags and their belongings, like literally their lives belongs in this small putli, as we say in Bengali, running towards the station, and they realize one of them is missing. The Poopaji is missing. And he was a headmaster in the place they used to live. So some of them rush back to get him, and they go back and say, he's clutching the pillar of the house, and he's like, मैं कहीं नहीं जाऊँगा. I'm not going anywhere. If they kill me, they'll kill me, but I'm not going anywhere. This is where I'm gonna live. I don't know who I am if I leave this place. So I think the horror, the pain of partition cannot be told without portraying or talking about a certain amount of violence. I mean, to the extent that I think Indian partition, the 1947 one, is considered as bad as the Holocaust. When I saw the visuals, if I may say, gory visuals of your film, Main Vapas Aaunga, what was done to the women, a glimpse of it. It has to be a glimpse of, I don't know what not happened back then. I really couldn't imagine that, okay, so this Imtiaz Ali did exist too, which I had no idea, because I have watched Highway earlier, and no matter what you could have visually shown, you didn't. You did not. But in this case, somewhere it was either necessary or whatever your vision was, which resonated with that it has to be shown this way. So was it visual maturity how you wanted to show it at this stage, or this was always there within you and you didn't need to show any kind of violence on screen before?
The kind of visual that I might have had to show in Highway, the movie, is not the kind of visual that I even wanted to conceive, to think about. I did not, therefore, have those visuals in the film Highway. In Main Vapas Aaunga, which is about partition and the things that happened, I knew that it's a personal story. The reason it is a personal story is that the like so many people, like I don't know, maybe 100 people that I met, partition veterans, people that had seen partition with their own eyes. When I met them, they told me their stories of partition. Each one was a very personal story. There was no story which was a story of partition. There was the story of this old lady who was remembering the doll that she had to leave behind in Lahore when they hurriedly crossed the border, and the fact that she's missed this doll all her life. It was a personal story. Or every story was a personal story. Every story also was a story of love, because it was only talking about that beautiful tree in their yard that they could not go back to, that wonderful girl that used to come to the father's shop, and how this boy had used to go every day to try to steal a look at her. Every story was of fondness and love. All these old people, all of them in their late 90s, late 80s or 90s, told the stories which were very, very personal. Therefore, I thought that this is something which I feel has escaped the narrative of the partition stories in India. The personal angle, the angle of fondness and love, something that has made them, something that has survived for 78 years after the partition of the country. And I thought it is very important to represent it, and that was the reason for me to make this film. And I wanted to also make it while many of them were still with us. As we know, we are losing them by the minute, by the day. So I wanted to make this movie before most of them went away. But the story, obviously, each personal story was also revolving around this gruesome act that has happened, the biggest, the most influential incident of our subcontinent, which is the partition of the country. And partition happened in 2 states, Punjab and in Bengal. Now so if I'm making a movie which is based on the partition, I can't ignore it. I can't pretend as though it didn't happen. I can't just talk about it, because it is so effective. I had to show a semblance of, like, some sort of a presence had to be made of the violence that partition had seen. If there are only adults in this room, I will come out with a certain statistic which is very, very shocking. 68,000 women were sexually assaulted within the space of perhaps a month during partition. Imagine that, 68,000 women. Even if artificial intelligence was allowed to devise some sort of a mechanism of doing so, it would be difficult. 68,000 women. And what kind of violence would that be? For what reason would that be? What is the face of humanity that people saw during partition time? Who are the people that committed these acts? Were they imported from Mars, like the movie says? No, it was you and me. This is not only the victims. It's not only about the victims, it is also about the ability of each one of us to become that perpetrator. 68,000 women. I had to indicate that. I could not forego that. I knew it is a kind of a responsibility of this story to mention it. And this was believe me, the easiest, the simplest, and the most harmless way of depicting it, which I did. And it was the most horrible day of shoot for us also. It was not easy, to talk to those kids, small children, girls. The room full of them. Dolly Ahluwalia, who acted as the grandmother, she was there. Both of us just spoke to these girls for such a long time and said, Beta, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that, explaining why we are doing what we are doing. Their parents were also there. It was a very tough time. But it's okay for us to go through that toughness. This is nothing by comparison to what they have gone through. And I know that I've made the room very heavy right now by saying this, but it had to be mentioned. You asked me that question, so I had to say it.
Yeah, I am to blame that I asked that, but I had to. Your female characters, I have seen a spectrum. There's no stereotype. Geet is so bubbly. At the same time, Heer is bubbly, but she's very internalized as a person. Veera is very internal. Tara is a quiet one. You never typecast your women. They have their own clarity. They are who they are. How does understanding of women come with such clarity to a man? Have you really studied women?
No, I've not. I'm not so studious, and I think it comes from fascination. Actually, most things that are interesting in this world don't come from knowledge. They come from fascination. I feel I am old enough to admit that I've always been very fascinated by women, by girls. And I've been thinking about them a lot. Also, let me say that I've met very unstereotypical women in my life, whether it's my mother or cousins and elder sisters and all of that. Very smart, very sharp. I see my daughter is like that. Actually, no woman that I've met in my life, or no woman that actually exists in this world, is stereotypical. It is... I think the short-sightedness of directors like me that makes them look like that. And I think just looking at women, legally or illegally, has resulted in the kind of women that have ended up being in my cinema.
From all women in India who watch your movies, I want to say thank you. Your male characters, I have found a similarity that they all found or are trying to find their way back to themselves. Maybe through love, maybe through something else, but whether it's Jordan or Aditya, the circumstances might be different, but it's a journey back to within, knowing who you are. What happened in your life, or I don't know, happened several times maybe time and again, that made you come back to you, be better friends with yourself?
Seriously, now that you've asked me that question, I'll have to come up with some fake answer. Because I've really never wasted my time thinking about who I am and what I want, and I never wanted to reach myself. If I went on any journey, I would not be the destination of it. I'm not interested. What I'm interested in is you. What I'm interested in is other people. And I often, in trying to think about other people, imagine what they would have done, what I would have done if I were in their place. And it is, I think, my interest in other people that has led me to write characters. rather than my interest in myself. Yes, it is true for some reason, and there must be a psychological explanation of it, that many of my stories have characters that seem to find themselves at the end of the story, etc. But why I do it, I have no clue.
You mentioned your daughter, Ida, if I'm not wrong. Am I pronouncing it right?
Ida.
Ida, sorry. Ida and you seem to share a very beautiful bond, what comes across from how you guys support each other, more friends than just father-daughter, I must say. So when Ida happened, was it something like everything else in your life, you just Forrest Gump through fatherhood, or were you like prepared to be a father?
Well, when Ida was born, I remember these nights when she used to cry through the night. And that is because she had colic, you know. And I used to shoot for a TV series that time. So in the day I used to shoot, at night I used to be given the responsibility of strolling her. The only way that she would feel a little relief and stop crying when she was a baby is if I would hold her to myself and walk with her in a dance kind of a way while singing some sort of a song. So that would swirl the acid in her stomach and make her feel better. So I've been dancing with her like that forever. And when she grew up, she had this thing of, I had to tell her a story every night. And I had to tell her a different story every night. So I think my storytelling capabilities really increased in that period of time. When she came of age, she started also telling me one story every night. So that's how it has been. Even yesterday, my flight was delayed for 4 hours, the one to Calcutta from Bombay. The good thing was that she and I were alone, and we told each other stories for 2 hours. So we do that. And I feel that having a child in that way is a very rewarding experience. I think it is the most rewarding experience in my life, because it gives you the ability to live your life all over again. Again start as a child, again go through adolescence, again go through youth, etc., etc.
I'm going to move on to my next question, which everybody wants to know about. That's why I kept it for later. About actors. Everybody's always interested in actors and Bollywood actors. So, do you have any favorite actor? I mean, you have worked with Diljit twice, Ranbir twice. Do you have a favorite? And they are just stars. I mean, there could be other actors too that you prefer more than them or not. We would really want to know, like, how do you feel about them?
Okay, let's talk about actors then. The thing about actors is that the experience you have working with them in a film is actually the experience you are having with the character, usually. Because I have, for instance, worked with Ranbir 2 times in my career up till now. He might be the best actor that I have worked with. The experience of working with him in Rockstar was quite different from working in Tamasha, because I think the characters were different. Although Ranbir always had that same sense of humor and that same dedication towards the screenplay and all of that, but still it was a slightly different experience. I've also worked with Randeep 2 times, and both the experiences were very different. Diljit as well. But Diljit is a very private person. He is very reserved. He's the most reserved person I might have met. 2 people I've met who are very reserved in my life: Diljit Dosanjh and Sunny Deol. They are very, very reserved. I don't know what's wrong with these Punjabi men. Like, we have such a different impression about them. And these 2 men that I've met, the most Punjabi men that I've met in my life. Usse zyada Punjabi aur kya ho sakta hai?
And they're not hadippaying. That's so sad.
They're what?
They're not hadippaying. Like
Hadippa? Not in the least. I can't even think of Hadippa and Sunny Deol in the same second. Not at all. They are very... So, Diljit is extremely reserved. But at the same time, the experience of working with him is very beautiful. He's very, very forthcoming as an actor, very present. There's a quality to his presence which is like almost meditative, you know. It's a beautiful experience working with him.
Music. How do you brief something to a maestro like A.R. Rahman or Pritam? Like, do you just tell them the story, they do the music, or do you have a theme in mind or a genre of music in mind? How does that happen?
I've been very lucky with musicians. Not only the fact that they've been very talented in their work and they've done their work very well, but they've also somehow, for some reason, made me very welcome in the process of music making. Both Pritam and Rahman sir, they obviously know so much more. I don't know anything about music by comparison. But then the great thing about a great person is that he allows you to feel great about yourself too. I remember when I first went to meet Rahman and he played out a couple of musical tracks to me for me to select. And I said, oh, you know, I'm glad I liked what you played, because even if I didn't like, I would have said, yes, this is good. Because I have not even heard one single song of A.R. Rahman which I haven't liked. So even if I'm not liking it good, I would have selected it. So I'm happy that I like it. He did not laugh and he was not condescending. He looked at me very seriously. He said, but you are the director. You have to do your job for me to be able to do my job. And then I've realized this about great people. They realize that I still have to do my job. You see, somebody asked me this question 5 minutes back before coming over here. I've worked with, let's say, Rishi Kapoor, Nasiruddin Shah, you know, these people that are older than me, Shami Kapoor even, okay, Dara Singh. These are the 4 gentlemen that he named. They know much more about performance and acting than I do, right? But each one of them has also indicated to me that I have to do my job as director. It does not take away the responsibility from me. So, same with Rahman. He'll always say, you are the director, you have to choose. I said, you know, I don't know enough about music. What if I say something wrong? He said, okay, if you say something wrong, you don't know about music, but I do know. So I'll correct you if you say something wrong. But you still have to be the one to take the final call because we are following your vision. That is the greatness of the musicians I've worked with. And whether it is Sandesh or Pritam or A.R. Rahman. Somehow Pritam also always encourages me, like Rahman sir always encourages me to be a part of the music. So he will not have a recording, he will not have a session, he will not even do background if I'm not there. Because he somehow wants to keep the film in his view. You see, of A.R. Rahman, you take any 2 albums, and if you hear one part of any song, you will know whether it is this film or that. Every film has a different sound somehow. I think he manages to do that, at least in my films, by involving me in the process. So I feel very obligated to him for that.
That's really, really beautiful. Do you believe in legacy, or do you think that we are so molecular in this galaxy that none of this is going to matter?
None of this is going to matter.
I kind of saw this coming.
But at the same time, that is not something that one can rely upon and just do nothing in the world. It's as long as it is important to me to do this, I'm doing it. As long as it's important for you to do what you're doing, you will do it. Because in a way, maybe in theory, nothing is going to matter. Like Osho said, it doesn't matter. But I feel that it matters to me. I'm having a good time directing films, so why will I not? And so on and so forth. Because as Rumi says again, you are the center of the universe.
Jab We Met happens to be a favorite of all of us. How many Jab We Met fans do we have in the room? Like, raise your hands. I love that film so much that if I'm in MRI and I have nothing to do, I close my eyes and I watch the film scene by scene in my head. My question
You know,
is...
you remind me of a character from my film called Ishar, who also closes his eyes and thinks of Jia. You close your eyes and think of Jab We Met.
Well, well, that's the, Jab We Met is my Jia. I guess when I'm dying, I'll be like, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ." Okay. But when I rewatched this and I actually wanted to ask something from the film for this interview, this question came to my head. Why did you think that a loud, chatterbox, very colorful, invigorating person was the answer to an industrialist, very corporate-minded man's sinking ship problem?
Usually, a loud, colorful, invigorated woman is the good answer to every question.
Thank you.
Especially if there is a sinking ship, etc., then it is definitely the right answer. And see, we haven't forgotten her. So for Jab We Met, it was definitely the right answer.
I know that, again, I'm not psychic and I'm not creepy. I just watched your interview. I know that you love being in the flow state and you love it the most when you're on the set. But what people don't naturally always understand, that filmmaking is not being on the set only. He also has to do prep, post-production, meetings, talking to the distributor, and a lot of और गंदी चीजें, ठीक है, he has to do. But I know you like being on the set the most, the flow, the meditative, hypnotic flow state. So why not being on the set more and making more films in a year?
Yes, I think you're right. I'm going to do exactly this. It's my, it takes that much time to get onto the set because you have to write and do post, pre and all of that. But I am trying my level best to make as many movies and be on the set as much as I can in my lifetime.
I think we are good to open some questions to the audience. Yeah? Okay, we see a hand. Is there a mic that's going to be taken there to... You're also going for your hall visits after this, right? For मैं वापस आऊँगा. See, I'm so respectful of your time.
Words. But I want to preface my question by saying that one, we say cinema mirrors reality, so it's always inspired by real life. And on the flip side of that, especially when it comes to Bollywood, obviously it has a huge impact on how people act in their lives as well. So the men in your film, the male characters in your film, have always carried a very deep sense of vulnerability, but it's never tipped into misogyny or violence against women, be it Jordan in Rockstar or Shahid Kapoor in Jab We Met, or especially Randeep Huda's character in Highway. That against how masculinity is being written in recent blockbusters, be it Kabir Singh or Animal. I wanted to get your opinions on what you think of that. Why do you think that shift is happening? And does it worry you that it may impact or influence India's youth in some way?
I'm recapping your question. Are you saying that there is a misogynist streak in many characters, male characters of films? And why is that not the case in mine? And so, am I supposed to justify?
No. What I mean is the way vulnerability in men is explored in your films is very different from how it is in recent blockbusters.
Well, I feel that the streak of this so-called alpha men, or men that have violent intent towards women, so to speak, they have showed up time and again in literature, in films. It's not a recent phenomena. One must not think that this is happening only now. This is, they come and go. There's nothing to feel discouraged about it. It is something that has been happening, and similarly, there has always been the portrayal of sensitive men and women in cinema. What I'm doing is also not very new or innovative. But one thing I must say to you, that I have in Indian cinema over a period of time seen that sexism and has been disappearing. Just as it is in society, in the Indian society, I have seen that the equation of men and women, which is even now very lopsided against women, is being corrected in society and also in cinema. If you look at old Indian cinema, you will know that there's a very condescending attitude towards women. That has been changing. Yes, there are some not so likable portrayal of men in cinema. I personally don't like them as well. But that's all, that's okay. It's on its way out, I feel. In the larger arc, it is all on its way out.
Thank you.
Cool, can we? Okay, here at the front
hi.
row. Oh, no, we already had it.
Sorry, may I go ahead? Imtiaz, can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. This room tells you how much your storytelling is admired, appreciated. So thank you for the cinema that you make for all of us. I made it a point to go and watch Main Vapas Aaunga yesterday. Otherwise, I would lose the opportunity of asking you a question that I might have. I enjoyed the film very much. And I suspect that, most of the audience was left. मैंने सभी के आंखें नम थी और बहुत दिल को लगी जो आपने बातें कही उस मूवी में. एक और ये भी मैंने देखा कि other than the characters, the human characters, आपके पिक्चर में अमलतास एक कैरेक्टर है, वो साइकिल एक कैरेक्टर है, वो कॉलेज एक कैरेक्टर है, वो दरिया एक कैरेक्टर है, वो झूले एक कैरेक्टर हैं. तो ये क्या आप कॉन्शियसली करते हैं? ये पहला सवाल. And the second question, which is slightly more serious, is that do you not think that we're a strange lot of people because we are teary-eyed and we are heartbroken when we watch Main Vapas Aaunga, and then the same room goes and cheers, let's say the blood, sweat and gore in a Dhurandhar. I'm not asking you to comment on Dhurandhar, but on the people, it's the same audience that is heartbroken and is teary-eyed watching Main Vapas Aaunga, and it's the same audience that says, well done, more, let's bay for the blood. How would you comment on that? ये क्या रवैया है हमारा?
Firstly, thank you very much for liking Main Vapas Aaunga. And actually, I'm extremely thankful of the audience, because the audience this time is not only the audience, they're also the marketing agency that we hired, the PR agency that has publicized the film and made sure that a film that started at a very dismal number becomes a success, becomes a hit. So I'm all thanks to yourself and to all the audience. But when I look at myself as a viewer, I feel that I really love a lot of movies that I'm not supposed to love, because I also love the sensible cinema. I think each audience member is not one commodity, but a combination of various people. And the audience does not have a strategy about what kind of film it wants to enjoy. If you ask the audience, they will give you an answer. But if you make a good film, they'll probably see it and like it. It is as simple as that. Sometimes we want a violent film, we enjoy it. Sometimes we don't. We watch a sensitive film and we enjoy it. Sometimes we want to play football. We watch football. Sometimes we watch a comedy show, We are not restricted. There's no strategy there. I think it is the success of humanity that there is no preconceived notions about what will entertain us. I think it is the great latitude that the human mind has, that it is able to enjoy all these kind of films, all in the first 6 months of the year 2026, which, by the way, has been a great year for cinema up till now, because there have been many that have been successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So, your films have essentially been very important social and political commentaries for me as an audience and also as an artist, most of your films. But I'm going to ask you something very silly. I mean, I think it's important and silly at the same time. You have kind of ethereally celebrated brokenness in your films, most of your films, apart from all social issues. And brokenness is essentially a personal discourse and a journey. How do you do that every time? And that was the first question. The second question is, you know, we've had this discussion in Delhi before. Cinema has no language, it's universal. Do you also see yourself directing in some other language at some point of time? These are the two questions I had. Thank you.
Well, the answer of the first question about brokenness is that brokenness is all I see when I see inside. And brokenness is all that I see when I see outside. And I feel that instead of regretting or lamenting that, one should celebrate it. Because if we are going to win the eventual war against AI, it is because of brokenness. Yes. It is because of this imperfection and uniqueness. It is what makes life interesting. It is what makes story have conflict and drama and become entertaining, therefore. And brokenness is uniqueness also, because although each one of us in this room are broken, we are broken in different ways. So, and in nature, everything is unique. No two leaves are the same in this world. And I think it is what we call brokenness that is responsible for each human being also, therefore, to be unique. And while on that topic, I must say that Calcutta is a very unique place also because it houses so many communities for centuries, for generations. I can see a lot of Punjabi ladies in this room, a gentleman as well, and I can also see a lot of, let's say, Rajasthani, Marwadi people in this room, and many other communities have made Calcutta their home. And if you ask them where they belong, they say Calcutta. They don't say Gujarat or Punjab, etc. Punjabis always say Punjab, but that's okay. But Calcutta is the home for so many communities. That's really incredible about Calcutta. Coming to your second question, which was about, what was that about? In other languages, you know, I saw Raise Shatranj Ke Khiladi. And I felt that his other films have a certain edge. The other Bangla films that he has made have a certain edge over Shatranj Ke Khiladi. In terms of direction, in terms of control. And that is because of language. It's not as though Satyajit Ray did not know Hindi. Of course he knew Hindi. But he knew Bangla better. Somehow, this is what I feel, and I might be beaten down in this city for saying anything against Shatranj Ke Khiladi or about, see, Shatranj Ke Khiladi is one of the best films made in the Hindi language, right? I personally don't rank it as high as Charulata or Nayak or one of those films, you know, and I feel that it's just like the language is also culture. Language is also so many things, you know. So I am therefore a bit hesitant in making a film in a language that I don't know as well as I know this language that exists in the country, which is a mixture of Hindi and every other language of the world. So till I feel confident of doing so, I won't.
I'll teach you Bangla. We'll come back to that. Okay. Acha Arindam da.
Arindam here. मैं वापस आऊँगा. I'll come back to that because I've been obsessed with this film since the time I watched it. It transcends to be a great film from the point of being a great film to to an extremely realistic documentation. And I felt like I lived through those moments, exactly what Ridhaburi was trying to say. You will feel like you're living those moments throughout the watch. And despite that being quite a lengthy film, when it ends, you're stumped. You don't feel like speaking. I went back home and I told my wife, we both watched the film, and I said, I don't feel like talking. I don't like it. It raises a lot of questions in your mind, and that's exactly what the film does. But I felt it's quite an academic question, is that it has each and every department of the film has somewhere surpassed into a great filmmaking. Not just the music, not just Nasir Bhai's acting. I think he's taken a masterclass. Your direction, of course, as I told you a while back, I consider it to be one of your best. I want to talk about the camera. Sylvester Fonseca, you worked with him earlier in Chamkila. I've watched him in Kennedy. I feel he's one of the best in the country. But what you did with him in this film, gave me goosebumps. The camera was watching. It was watching constantly. The same thing what I felt when I watched this film, Court, that Maharashtrian movie. So, including the color palette and the film, which is non-violent in nature, till the time the violence, you get into the violence and it becomes gruesome, the camera also does the same thing. It keeps on watching and observing from behind. And it makes great camera work without being, it's so understated. So all I want to ask you is about, of course it has been designed, and how much it has been yours and how much it has been Sylvester and the color palette. And I genuinely feel that you're a director who definitely works in each and every department very intensely. But how has it been that you worked on the camera of this film?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting discussion for a filmmaker. As a director, I'm fortunate to work with every department as closely as I can and as closely as they would want me to. But the relationship between a director and the cameraman is the most important relationship of movie making. And especially with Sylvester Fonseca. And I'm so glad that you took his name. I feel he's one of the most talented filmmakers in this country. And I feel that all of us are going to enjoy seeing what he does in his life. And Harman, please make a note and tell him that we discussed him so much. I wish he was here. He is a collaborator in the film. So is Suman Mahapatra and Sheetal, who worked in production design and in costume. Everything comes together. You know how it is. When you see that girl under the tree, there are flowers are red, her costume is red in a different way, and the lighting is in a certain way, and the steps that are artificial, by the way, are made in a certain way. So the steps are not artificial, sorry. Some other facades are. The tree is fully artificial. So the whole image, the performance, the shot taking, everything is crafted all together, So it's always very, very collaborative. When Sylvester and I work, we obviously forget about whose idea it was to have a certain lens in the camera, whose idea it was to have light. Lighting is usually his idea, but I always tell him the mood, the feeling, the kind of picture that exists in the mind. As a director, one has images in mind. When you think of a story, you always have a certain image, and you try to translate it to the cinematographer to bring to life and to everybody else. And you sometimes pick out colors from that image. I don't know why, but I see this yellow kurta on this girl in Jab We Met. I don't know why, but I see red flowers in this one. Maybe it's from the subconscious. And being in the flow state is also sometimes not questioning the things that are coming to your mind, but going with that flow. That also gives clarity to everybody else. I must say that I've never worked in a movie where all the head of departments or all the departments have worked at this level of proficiency, at this beauty that was created in the costume department with Sheetal Sharma, or the beauty that was created with the efficiency of the budget in the production design department with Suman Mahapatra, and the way Sylvester has worked in Chamkila, but more than Chamkila in this film. It is just crazy. And you know, there was so much discussion about memory. What is memory? The things that are in our memory have a different color palette than things that are in front of us. When I'm seeing this right now, and there is a certain detail to this image, but when I see this in memory 20 years later, the detail would have gone to some extent. And there are certain things which are not so realistic but surrealistic that would have entered. The lens through which I'm seeing this visual would change. And there is a way to cinematographically represent that for a film. And that's what we have done. For instance, there are 2 times that we see the single incident of a girl under that tree. One of them is in imagination or in memory, and one of them is in reality. The two dresses, both are red, but in the inverse way of each other. In the beginning, the girl comes and says, "Dekho Chand Bali," to Nasir's character. She's wearing a certain costume, which is red flowers on a white background of cloth. And when that scene actually happens, it is a red dress with whitish dupatta and flowers. So it is the reverse of. So we played all of that because, you know, we tried to think very hard. I remember that house in my childhood. What is the image like? How much detail do we see? Huh? I'm so glad that it does because this is our greatest thrill. This is our greatest joy because we've spent so much time, Suman, me, and Sylvester, thinking about what are the images of your early childhood.
Forget about it.
How are your memories? And what is the color palette? What is the tone of light? What is the what could be the lens you're seeing it in? Is it a 75 mm or a 35 mm? Things like that. That has been our greatest thrill.
Okay, we'll take one last question. Gurshan.
Imtiaz bhai, good to see you again.
Good to see you, yaar. Please give my love to Simar.
Will do for sure. This is a personal one. In all your movies, from Jab We Met to Chamkila, right to down to now Main Wapas Aaunga, you have captured Sikh history, Sikh characters, and Punjabi culture in great detail. And how do you immerse yourself so deeply in Sikh philosophy and portray it so flawlessly? Like when we saw Nasir Saab on screen, we were not seeing character. It all reminded us that's Darji for us. And is it extensive research or is there a personal connection as well?
Well, it's not extensive research. It is, I think, intuitive, and I think it is also the grace of Punjab that I feel that I have been the recipient of. I don't know for what reason. I have received a lot of grace from Punjab. Stories, then the warmth with which Punjab and the rest of the world has reacted to those stories. And the Sikh way of life is not very different from the Sufi way of life. And in fact, it's the same thing. There are so many verses by many so-called Sufi saints in the Guru Granth Sahib, as you must be knowing. And it's not as though I knew that before. But every time I walked in Punjab, I felt more and more welcome the deeper that I have gone. And it is just something that I cannot know the reason of, but I feel that I'm just thankful about. So I really don't have an answer to your question, but I'm very glad that this question arises.
But I will give it to you, being a Sikh myself. There, your attention to detail is immaculate. I mean, today we live in a very hypersensitive society when people are out to pick out faults, but not, I would say, even a strand out of place was looking over there. And
You know, the answer, this one is very simple. One must make sure that if you're making something, the intent is not negative. If you look at something with love and do something with love, it's very, very difficult to actually to hurt anybody and for anybody to react against it, usually. So I feel that my intent has always been positive. So obviously people have not taken it wrong.
But I will give it to you as a Sikh. The way you have portrayed our culture, and you have broken the stereotype which Bollywood has shown Sardar in a very long time. It has, done a great deal of value addition, and deeply appreciate that. And just to leave you with, a line which my Darji told me, because he also faced the trauma of partition. He just said, "Puttar, Hindustan da vibhajan hoya si, बंटवारा सिर्फ पंजाब और बंगाल दा होया सी. India was divided, but only Bengal and Punjab are partitioned." Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Imtiaz, for this entire session, answering our questions. It has been such a pleasure having you here. If you would just say a few words to the lovely people here and something related to Tagore, because we know that you love him. Anything you feel about him, or any philosophy or line that you may like, and anything you want to say.
You know, it was for the longest time that I thought that Rabindra Sangeet is so boring. I think as a child, I was always hearing this and never understanding it. And I was like, kya ho raha hai? Isme kuch samajh mein nahi aa raha. Why do they talk so much about Rabindranath Tagore? It is only much later in my life that I was on a recce, and Sumit Basu, who was the art director, was also in the car with me. And he was singing a Bangla song. So I said, and I understand Bangla. So I said, "Arey, this is very beautiful poetry. Yaar. Who's the writer of this one?" So he said, "You don't know?" I said, No. Who's the writer of this one?" So he said, "Tagore." So I said, "Acha, what is the next line? What is the next line?" And gradually I got so fascinated, and I thought that nobody has written it this way. And I had a late realization in my life. I was already working as a director by then. I had a very late realization of Rabindranath Tagore. And I think that the way, with the freedom with which he has written, I don't know much about him still, but I feel that whatever I have read, and then I remember many songs of his. I remember the Charulata song, Ami Chinigo. And now I understand the meaning of it, because I used to sing it as a kid. I didn't realize what the meaning is, but now I realize the meaning of it. And it surpasses all profundity of literature, really. The freedom, the uniqueness with which he has written, the freedom that he's challenged every norm of society without pissing people off. He's just, it is just masterly in another level. Just reading a Tagore poem is doing the greatest service you can do to yourself in a day. Especially when he writes about the constant obsession that men have about sadness. What is love? Is it just a teardrop? And what is the obsession that you have towards grief? That even in your happiest times, you want a love that can make it painful for yourself, is the question that he asks. And I feel that it's a growing relationship between me and Tagore, and I really enjoy every sentence I read of his.
Well, we are wrapping up. Thank you so much. And I do not have words because I think all our hearts are full with how much time you gave us today for coming down here. For ladies, thank you, Ladies Study Group, for making this happen. This evening was iconic, I must say, in every way possible. Also, I got to know that I am the solution for every sinking corporate guy's problem. I just realized that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guests, a heartfelt thanks to Mr. Imtiaz Ali for so generously sharing his time, insights, and experiences with us this evening. It has truly been a privilege. From the streets of Jamshedpur to the biggest stages of Indian cinema, his films have given voice to love, to longing, and the search for meaning in ways that have stayed with us long after the credits have rolled. We are grateful for his honesty, his humility, and for reminding us that the most powerful stories often come from the quietest of conversations. Our thanks also to the celebrated actress Ms. Rita Bhari Chakravarti for guiding this conversation with such ease and flair. LSG sincerely thanks members of the press for their valuable coverage. Our appreciation to ITC Royal Bengal for their gracious hospitality. May I now invite LSG Chairperson Mrs. Preeti Goenka to kindly come up on stage to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Imtiaz Ali and Ms. Rita Bhari Chakravarti.